Yeah, well, it's been 2-ish years, so I guess it's time for us to do this thing again.
It's about time, I would say so. Yep, absolutely.
He's Tony.
He's the law.
And we're going to try and do this thing again. Cheers, my friend. We are starting today with Johnny Walker Black Label. It's your go-to.
Yeah. Best bang for buck money-wise as far as I'm concerned. Great tasting whiskey. And we're running like a whole Johnny Walker gamut here today. You got us lined up with all these little mini bottles. This is nice.
Yeah, we're hoping to record a number of episodes here, so I'll try to remember to lead off with how many scotches in we are. Right now, this is going to be our zero scotch conversation. We're taking our first drink. What I was hoping to do was to do another Pack Rat session like we did so long ago, but I can't find NFL trading cards for this year anywhere yet.
That's insane. How can there not be NFL trading cards for this year?
Right, and I looked it up online, and apparently they don't even ship until like late August. Now, I'm wondering what it is that changed, definitely between our childhood and now, because summer was prime time. Like, those guys got drafted, and then they gave a couple of weeks for trades, but like they would have them in the facility well before training camp, taking pictures in their gear so that they had the cards out, and you could see them at every drugstore all over New Jersey, certainly.
Yeah, does it have something to do with how volatile the rosters are? They're not sure who's going to be playing when. No, not really, right? Everything's pretty locked in right now as we're recording this.
I would think so.
Rosters are pretty set. There's nobody's switching teams, nothing like that. I don't.
Now,
it's a sad thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I was hoping it would remind us about some of the guys that moved, because frankly, we haven't really been paying too much attention to exactly, except for our own teams. So we'll take care of NFL preview by just talking a little bit about our own teams. My New York Jets got a 4-time MVP quarterback to come in, and
who's also a lunatic.
Yeah,
forget that.
Who's also a lunatic. I'm very, very skeptical. We've had the great savior from Green Bay come down to fix the Jets before, so I am skeptical. I am a little bit concerned.
And be so happy to do it. I seem to remember Favre had the same sort of enthusiasm for coming to New York. But hasn't Rodgers to you been like a little too giddy about being in New York? And is it just because he's been in Green Bay for so long and it's so podunk and out there in the middle of nowhere? But there was no way he was living there during the year, right? Like, as soon as the season was over, he was somewhere else, right? Like, was he out in California or something?
I feel like it's most likely creative control. Hell, we're going to get into a wrestling talk later, but Hulk Hogan loved the idea of going to WCW because he was going to get creative control.
Okay, so that's what you think he's really giddy about, the fact that he's basically coming in as a player coach, owner.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, for all intents and purposes, really, he's coming in with owner level power.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he's going all to these basketball games and all these sporting events. I love walking around New York City. Like, you do?
Yeah.
Man, act like you've been here before. You're supposed to hate it. You're supposed to. What kind of New York quarterback likes walking around New York City? Come on.
And for the love of God, like, I don't remember. And hey, look, all 12 of our listeners, hit us up in the comments if I'm wrong. But was he going to Bucs games? I mean, that was a good team. Like, they had the MVP. They,
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Did he go to? I mean, Green Bay. Like, where Bucs? That would be it, right?
Right.
What else are you gonna go to?
Yeah. Also, if we've missed the mark completely,
Brewers.
If like Green Bay is actually closer to Cleveland than it is Milwaukee, also tell us.
No, that's not possible, is it? No, I don't. Nobody knows where Green Bay is.
We'll look it up for a later episode. But all right, so I've got a number in my mind for wins. Tell me what your number is for the New York Jets for this 2023 NFL season. They're playing 17 games now. Remember that. We haven't recorded one of these since they went to the 17-game schedule.
Yeah, I know. I was just looking at this the other day, and especially the front end of their schedule looked a little brutal.
Yes.
And
yeah.
And I remember looking at it, and it's not fresh in my mind right now, but I do remember looking. I said, "Wow, this could be just with these expectations, this might only be a 9-win team. And I don't think that given the schedule that they'd necessarily be disappointed with that, other than, Aaron Rodgers has come down from on high. Because if Zach Wilson was under center, this would not be good.
No.
This would not be good. I mean, 3 wins on here I'm looking at. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of expectations you can have for this team just because the key difference is now Aaron Rodgers under center.
Yeah.
How much of a difference is that going to make, really? I mean, is the New York Jets fan going to look at that as any sort of progress? I mean, it's boom or bust, really, right?
In the 2 years now that we're going to have Aaron Rodgers, you got to figure it's boom or bust.
Is a playoff appearance and like a first round win sufficient?
Here's what I'm looking at. I want out of this season, I want this team to go 11-6.
That's ambitious.
What I'm honestly expecting is, or what I'm hoping for, is the Jets to go 4-2 in division.
Right.
And I'm accounting for a split with Buffalo, a split with Miami, and I think if they want to get to that threshold, they got to beat the Patriots both games.
I think that with the expectations on this team, they have to beat the Patriots twice, and they should beat the Patriots twice. I think this is a team that the Patriots are in some sort of weird limbo land right now.
Yeah.
I can't. The Jets have to beat them twice.
What I want out of what I'm really hoping for is 3-3 after the first 6.
Yeah, I've called it up here. So
yeah, so
see that for the front half of that schedule, we're looking at Buffalo, then at Dallas, then they got New England coming in, they got Kansas City coming in. That's a rough first 4 games.
At
really.
Denver, and then also home against Philadelphia.
Yeah, out to week 6, they got Philadelphia coming in. So really, Denver is the only game you could look at there and say, yes, they will win that game.
Yeah, and not only that, but that's personal now. I expect Rodgers to show out in that game and go out there and kick the crap out of them.
Yeah.
I looking at this schedule, I gave them the Buffalo game just because, like I said, I accounted for
them
Buffalo,
splitting, sure.
So I'm going to give each team the home game.
All right, so if we look at this even optimistically, so you're week 1 versus Buffalo, you're going to say they're going to win that game.
Sure.
Then they're going to Dallas.
I think you gotta give them a loss there.
I think they're going to lose. Yeah, that's just a hard place to go play, no matter how good your team is. And then they got New England coming in, which we're hoping they would win. Mm-hmm. And then they got Kansas City coming in, which you got to assume they're going to lose. But
hope springs. They certainly can be in the game.
Sure.
But for my purposes, I looked at it. You got 4 in those first 6. You got 4 really tough games: Buffalo, Dallas, Kansas City, Philadelphia. I got them winning one of those and going into their bye 3-3.
Right, and then you're super optimistic. You're looking at going into the bye at 4-2. But really,
I'd sign up for that.
But it's not unrealistic for them to go into the bye 1-5.
No, it really isn't.
Because other than Denver, those first 6 games, any one of those teams can beat them. And not only can they beat them, but they could beat them in such a way where you're going to say, oh, the Jets played poorly. Not necessarily. These are just teams that stand on their own as being able to win football games. So it doesn't even have to be because the Jets catastrophically mess anything up.
Now, the one thing that that really favors the Jets about this schedule is they have something that no other NFL team has. They have 10 home games, 7 away games.
How did that get by me? What?
Well, they've got 9 and 8, right? But one
Yeah.
of their away games is at the New York Giants.
Ah, yes.
So that's a major plus. Now, a negative is as soon as Aaron Rodgers signed on, and look, other things too. They got the reigning offensive and defensive rookies of the year on that team. So their schedule, the actual times of these games, is freaking haywire all over the place. When your team sucks, you can count on them playing at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock every Sunday. The Jets kick off on Monday night. And then they've got a few Sundays, but they bounce around. There's 4:30s. There's at least one 8 o'clock game. I don't know when the flex schedule starts, but you got to figure some of those games are going to get flexed.
Boy, and that first 1 o'clock game, that's against New England. Can you imagine the Jets are finally worthy of primetime games, and New England isn't decided to be one of them? Isn't it? What kind of bizarro world is this?
They've got another Monday. They've got a game on Black Friday. That's a thing that the NFL is doing now.
Oh, that's right. At 3 p.m. on Black Friday. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Tune in for that one, everybody. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, on Prime Video at that.
Yep. And
so in between shopping, they're just hoping that you're going to open up another window and
then they've got a game on Christmas Eve, which is a Sunday this year, though it's home against Washington. But then they got to get on a plane. Instead of, spending Christmas with their families, they got to get on a plane to go play at Cleveland on Thursday. And, that Cleveland team, that's going to be a team that's probably fighting for something. Could be, if Deshaun Watson stays healthy and not incarcerated.
That's a rough one, mostly because of that, but also because that come on, the Bengals and then the Ravens. I don't know.
And don't forget, Pittsburgh doesn't have losing seasons.
That's true.
They have seasons where they don't make the playoffs.
Pittsburgh is good. Yeah, they're good for those 9 wins.
Yeah, what? Yeah, the Steelers are going to go 8-9. Like, get the hell out of here.
Not in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So, but this schedule just really scares me for the Jets. For the first 6 games, especially, it sets the tone for everything. Going in at 3-3 is lackluster, but looking at those first 6 games, you got to be happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all goes almost perfectly. You're looking at 4-2.
Right.
And again, a catastrophic 1-5 is also on the table. So
I think to really feel good about the season as a New York Jets fan, what I'm looking for is 3-3 through the first 6 games. That's my litmus test. And then moving forward, 10-7 still gets you into the playoffs. I really think the team is capable, looking at the rest of the schedule, of 11-6. I don't suspect myself that that's enough to win the division. There are a lot of people that are handing the division to the Jets on a platter right now. A lot of pundits. Look, I'm a Jets fan. I don't see it. I don't think that's.
How
are they going to leapfrog Buffalo?
Yeah, and Buffalo gets a lot of flack for not getting over the hump, but they're still the dominant team in the East.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
So I'm not ready to crown them just yet, I think. But I would be, as a Jets fan, I would be very happy with an 11-6 record. And yes, I do want to then see them win a playoff game. And the whole Aaron Rodgers in New York experiment, frankly, if I get to see my team play in the Super Bowl, that's success for me right there.
So to you, they got to get to the Super Bowl. They just don't necessarily have to win it. They just got to get there. I mean, if you're going to get there, come on. Now you got to win it.
Oh,
right?
Well, sure. I want them to win it, but I can't, like, in retrospect, I'm not going to look back on the season as a failure because they went there. Look, the last team that had that kind of success for me was the 2015 Mets. And I do not look at that season as a failure. Subsequent years, there was some failure that happened. But, that particular year, no. That team went in, made it to the World Series. They played games of consequence. That's, as a fan of the Mets, the Jets, the Nets, the New Jersey Devils, all I ever want is for the season to be winding down and for me to still have a reason to watch my teams play.
Yeah. That's. I think New York sports fans all over really can agree with that. You want a reason to keep watching, and the Giants and Jets haven't had that for so long. All right, it's Halloween, everybody. On to the next baseball season when the current one is just ended.
So, I say a wildly successful season for the New York Jets, one that I would go back and say, hey, that 2023 season was everything I wanted from it. I want the team to go 10-7 or 11-6, and I want them to win a playoff game.
Okay. You count a wild card game in that, or?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's...
Because that's what they're looking at with Buffalo hanging around, right? That's got to have to be a wild card win, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, if Rodgers goes nuts, everybody else stays healthy. Could this Jets team be the team that gets the number 1 seed and gets the bye? Yeah, sure, they could be. But with the upgrades that San Diego made to an already excellent team, with Kansas City just always going to be Kansas City.
Yeah.
With Buffalo really falling into that mold too. Obviously not having the Super Bowl wins that KC has, but Buffalo, they've created a formula there they found the formula for sustained success.
Yeah. And Kansas City being one of the, chief reasons why Buffalo doesn't have that championship.
Yeah.
So that's... Yeah, and people sleeping on Buffalo is crazy to me because they can't get past what? Because they can't get past Kansas City. Oh, okay. Well, in the past couple of years, not many have. So,
yeah.
So yeah, I have to agree with your assessment on that, and especially for this team now, if they make it to the playoffs, they're able to make a good showing in the playoffs. That's got to be labeled as a success for the Jets.
Yeah.
I can't see it any other way.
Well, then, there you go. It's it's time to cheers, pour one out, and throw the bottle. I'm gonna cheers. I mean, the only guy that really we can cheers in all this at the moment is Aaron Rodgers. Cheers to you, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, cheers, you lunatic.
Here's hoping that the season is everything you want it to be. I gotta pour one out for Zach Wilson.
Oh, jeez.
Zach. And look, yes, I know they're setting us up on Hard Knocks.
Your pour out was just intercepted.
They're setting us up on Hard Knocks for Zach's learning from Aaron Rodgers and all this. Zach's going to have a contract bonus come up at some point here that is not going to get picked up.
Yeah.
And I, just like all the other quarterbacks the Jets have drafted in the years that I've been watching them, I sold myself. I got myself ready for the Zach Wilson experience and the Zach Wilson era. And I hope I'm wrong, but it really looks like it is over before it ever had that's not even fair to say. He had his chance.
Yeah.
It's just over.
He had his chance. If you're Zach Wilson, you didn't even blow it with the way you played on the field. You blew it with your attitude.
That's what it seems like.
Because if he was awful and a little bit more humble about how awful he was, then I think people would view this Aaron Rodgers situation in the way that everybody's trying to get them to do. Oh, he's going to learn from him. He's going to pick something up. He's going to somehow become Aaron Rodgers, I guess. But you'd be more willing to accept that narrative if the kid was humble. And he said things along the lines of, I have a lot to learn, and it's really great that a veteran's coming here in front of me, and I'm going to get to sit down and learn from him. And, no, really, I'm great. Everything around me is awful. Never came out of his mouth. But I don't know. This poor kid.
Yeah.
This poor kid.
And I'm throwing the bottle at Sean Payton.
Yeah, what a jerk.
What a dick.
That is pretty terrible.
And look, I've seen everything, and look, there are some people, and Nathaniel Hackett might be one of them. I don't know. I'm not qualified to judge. There's some people that are just meant to be coordinators, not head coaches.
Yeah.
But my God, you're burying a guy for Really no reason. Or now people are coming out and saying, like, oh, well, it's all part of his genius plan to getting good with Russell Wilson. After the year Russell Wilson had, if Sean Payton needs to, quote, get in good with him, then everything there is screwed up beyond recognition.
That is a horrible take. That's a horrible take, getting
Right.
good with Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson has some getting in good to do himself. I don't know. I don't buy that at all.
No.
I don't buy that at all. But what was Sean Payton's excuse, too? Is like, oh, no, I had on my analyst hat instead of my coach hat.
Well, you know what? You're
does that mean?
getting paid coach money now, so bury your analyst hat in the
Yeah.
closet.
Yeah, it's time to take your analyst hat off, it might seem, but I don't know. That's also, what kind of stab at analysts and coaches is that? Oh, I was only honest because I was being an analyst, and a coach, I normally would have just lied through my teeth, but... Well, what kind of excuse is that? Yeah, we're all thinking this guy's awful and terrible and doesn't know what he's doing, but I would only say that as an analyst. I would never say that as a coach. Like, what kind of excuse? Every coach and analyst in the world should hate this guy for that.
If the Jets go 1-5, they better beat Denver. And if they go 5-1 and they lose to Denver,
is the 1-5 on that list. On those first 6 games, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Oh man, I don't have a unique one for that. That you're praising and pouring out and chiding everybody I want to chide in the New York Jets situation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
then that's all we need. Hey, believe it or not, tomorrow, next one, we're going to talk about the New York Giants. Until then, cheers, everybody.
cheers.
He's Tony.
He's the law.